It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Good morning and welcome to the Travel and Cruise Industry News Podcast for this, the 26th day of September 2023, brought to you in part by Will US. Today's headlines, folks: 1 dead during a rescue attempt. 0 cruise ships scrapped during 2023. Crown Princess full-time in Australia. Holland America offers a 53-day cruise to Japan, and of course a weather update. And lots more live here at 11 o'clock on the Travel and Cruise Industry News Podcast. Before I get started this morning, I will say a quick good morning to Kenneth and Mike and Jim and Katie and Hot Air Tom. Awesome. All right, today's National Pancake Day, folks. You know what to do. Same thing I'm going to do. Get some pancakes. That's what I'm going to have for a late breakfast here right after the show. If you are listening via the podcast, welcome aboard. You can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net. I had somebody yesterday want to say, how do I get your podcast? Well, you can always go to my website, to accessadventure.net. And every day within 10 or 15 minutes of the show, the podcast is uploaded. And you can just click on it there and it'll play you the show, the audio track of the show. That's what the podcast is. Or wherever you get your podcast from, they all have me registered, whether it's iHeartRadio or Podchaser or Pandora or Google Podcasts, any of them. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News, and up pops the Fat Travel Guy. Anytime you're listening via the podcast and want to hop over to the video feed to look at pictures or clips or interviews that I may have on that day's show, there's always a link in the description of the podcast to do just that. All right, guys. We're going to start off with a commercial here from Will Power Chairs. I want to tell you something that you may not know. This is the Savannah Hilton Head International Airport, and they have just recently teamed up with Will US. That's a company known for its innovative personal transportation solutions company to provide improved mobility for passengers at airports. The new service allows a passenger to use a Will Model C2 power chair. That's the chair that I have, to navigate the terminal themselves, including visiting restaurants, shops, restrooms before heading to their gate. Traditionally, passengers with mobility limitations would get pushed around in a wheelchair or pushed from when they check in to the gate they're departing from, and many times just left there until time to get on the plane. For a person like me, that left me without access to a bathroom or getting something to eat or drink or whatever. They just left you sitting at the gate. Not the best thing in the world to do. Much more independent if the passenger can get in a wheelchair power chair and take themselves all over the airport if they want to, depending on how much time they have. Power chairs at Savannah Hilton Head International Airport are free to use and are provided at the Mobility Services counter on the departure level. To reserve a chair, advise the airline of the need for wheelchair assistance when booking your flight, or go directly to the airline's check-in counter on the day of the departure. Passengers can then explore the airport with freedom and confidence using a Will Model C2 easy to use controls. And I will tell you, folks, it is dirt easy to use. It's so simple. The service launched earlier this summer and utilizes 4 power chairs to transport passengers. Now, this isn't the only airport. There are a few other airports, many of them international. And since this is a company that's owned primarily in Japan, several of the Japanese airports have wheelchairs there. But anyway, if you need any information about this, or you're interested in getting your own wheelchair, or you're interested in renting a scoot-around scooter for any type of an event, whether it be a cruise or a stay in a resort or a hotel, just let me know or call 844-699-4455. That's 844-699-4455. And just use the code Chillie, Chillie. They'll know who that is. All right, that's Will US. Okay. Got several things to go over today before we get to the news. And one of those is, and I meant to do this yesterday, folks, and I had it loaded and I don't know what happened to it. But that, of course, is Cruise Amigo John over there on the right side, and the granddaughter there. That would be, I call her Lady J. Joanna had her christening on Sunday. And I asked John if she behaved or if she was like me when I was christened. And he says she was angelic. So that's Joanna is now christened there on the Reitmeyer clan. And then I told you guys something wrong yesterday, so I want to straighten that up. This was Elizabeth flying into Copenhagen. I said Rotterdam. That was incorrect. She's in Copenhagen. That's where the hotel was, the fancy hotel with the crazy steps to get up to the loft bed. She's actually there until Friday. She's doing training for Oceania. And then she'll fly to Barcelona on Friday, and she'll join the ship in Tarragona, which is about an hour's drive from Barcelona. Then she sails from Tarragona, Spain, Friday evening, and will be officially on board Oceania and working. So that's just straightening up with Elizabeth, which I told you wrong. And then I didn't know when she was going to actually be getting on the boat. All right, this is Lizzie Lou. This is she's on the Virtuoso again. This is about the 95th time that Lizzie's been on the Virtuoso, I think. But she likes to go get her coffee in the morning and relax and look out the window. And this happens to be going, and yes, folks, this is correct. She's going into Rotterdam today. So, just saying. And then my counterpart at Will, Sylvia. Sylvia, of course, has been an ambassador to Scoot Around and Will for a long time. They have this absolutely gorgeous woman, and then they have the big old fat guy. That's the two ambassadors. So anyway, I love Sylvia to death. But Sylvia hit 50 and 50. She hit her 50th state, which was North Dakota, before her 50th birthday. This picture was taken yesterday. Today is her 50th birthday. So congratulations to Sylvia for hitting 50 before 50. I told her I hit 50 last year, but, I was 50 before 74. And that doesn't sound near as good. But then while she was in Fargo, she went to the Jim Compst Center in Fargo, and there was an interesting story. It's a rather long story, but a gentleman decided he wanted to celebrate his Norwegian ancestry or Viking ancestry, and built a ship and wanted to sail it back to wherever it sailed from back in the Viking days. I don't remember all the details, but the gentleman in the construction process ended up passing away, and his friends completed the job and the cruise in this ship, and it is now displayed at the Jim Compst Center in Fargo. Mr. Bucket List is on the Carnival Conquest, and that to me looks like one hell of a steak that Ms. Justin has. Of course, I'll be on the Conquest in November. I'm looking forward to that. That'll be the Pittsburgh Jason cruise. I'll be cruising with Pittsburgh Jason. That's a 9-day cruise, I believe, going to Southern Caribbean, if I'm not mistaken. And back in the early days of cruising for solos, in the middle there, that's our friend Kim Cameron. She used to hang around with us all the time back in the days when we started doing the cruise meetups during the pandemic. It was actually pre-Cruise Amigos, and then we started the Cruise Amigos kind of to celebrate the pandemic. Of course, in those days, it wasn't any celebration. But that's Kim, and some of her clients there are doing a deal out of New York. They spent several days in the Big Apple. They were walking to Times Square, walking a mile to Times Square in the pouring down rain. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're getting on the Norwegian Joy out of New York. All right, and this is Janine. This out in Rapa, French Polynesia. Of course, I'm going to claim that that's Janine doing the dancing. Actually, that is Janine, as a matter of fact. So we will give Janine pure hell about her belly dancing when I get her on the show next. So that's just a bunch of pictures that I've collected and wanted to get caught up on. Try to do this every day now. All right. I'll tell you what, let's take a break for a network sponsor, and then I'll get on with the weather because it's a little bit shorter today and the news. So be back in a second after a quick break from one of our network sponsors. All right, guys, let's start the news off with the weather today. All right, as you can see, things are looking a little bit better in the Atlantic. Felipe remains disorganized. It's located about 925 miles east of the northern Leeward Islands now. 50-mile-an-hour sustained winds. It's moving west-northwest at 13 miles an hour. Pressure is 1,001, which is actually up 1 from yesterday. Gradual weakness expected during the next few days. I don't see this affecting anything. I mean, I don't even think it's going to affect Bermuda. I have a feeling this is going to just go away. Now, we still don't know about the one to the east of that, halfway to Africa from there. Showers and thunderstorms associated with a tropical wave located several hundred miles west-southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands have shown little change in organization over the past several hours. Environmental conditions are forecast to be conducive for development, and a tropical depression is expected to form in the next couple days as the system moves west-northwest again across the central tropical Atlantic. This might be another one that's just going to be a storm to nowhere again. And I'm not complaining, folks. That's awesome. But boy, it's such a waste of time. Chance of further development on this is 60% in the next 48 hours, 90% in the next 7 days. We got to watch it. But I don't see it going anywhere or doing anything. Same thing out in the Pacific. You know, we got one little tropical wave. It's about 1,000 miles southwest of the southern tip of Baja. Disorganized showers and thunderstorms. Slow development of the system is still possible over the next several days as it moves generally westward, about 15 miles an hour. I mean, there's very little chance of much more development. They're talking, you know, like 10% in the next 48 hours, 20% over the next 7 days. I'm thinking this is just going to dissipate. And, you know, it's just going to just fade away into the sunset. So, all right, that takes care of the weather for today. Now let's get on with the news. This is a mixture of a good and bad news story. P&O Australia ship, the Pacific Explorer, which departed from Auckland, New Zealand on Friday, encountered a distress call from a New Zealand flag sailing yacht with a broken mast. This is necessitating a course diversion. Tragically, one life was lost during the incident yesterday, as confirmed by the Maritime New Zealand Rescue Coordination Center. Amid the challenging circumstances, Pacific Explorer's crew, under the leadership of Captain Alan Nixon, displayed exceptional dedication and courage. They successfully rescued one survivor from the sea, subsequently providing urgent medical attention on the cruise ship. The Fijian Navy vessel Vinica also played a vital role in the rescue operation by retrieving another survivor. Carnival Australia expressed its gratitude and admiration to the crew and acknowledged their remarkable courage and determination in the face of adversity. P&O Australia also extended appreciation to the guests on board for understanding and cooperation during this unforeseen emergency. There was a video circulated on the social media depicting the small yacht struggling in rough seas alongside the much larger Pacific Explorer, underscoring the gravity of the situation. Due to the persistently adverse weather conditions, it was deemed unsafe to proceed with the rescue of the remaining crew from the yacht. Nevertheless, Pacific Explorer maintained communication with those aboard the distressed vessel throughout the evening, ensuring they were not left unattended during this critical time. The part of this that I don't understand is that further rescue attempts for the remaining individuals on the yacht were deemed unfeasible. The Royal Fijian Navy released the Pacific Explorer from the observation duties at 4 p.m. following this, allowing the ship to resume its voyage toward Port Dinaru, which is Nadi in Fiji. Passengers were promptly informed of any changes in their itinerary. Now, I've checked every news source I can find, both from the cruise lines, from Chillie Australia, from Australia sources, from New Zealand sources, all the networks, everybody, trying to find, well, did they ever get the remaining crew off the boat? There's nothing about the remaining crew. Did they leave them on a boat with a broken mast? I don't know. I know of 2 people, at least 2, and 1 deceased. So I'm Totally confused about this one, guys. Totally confused. All right, for some of us that have an affinity for some of the smaller, older ships, it's interesting to point out that after reaching record levels in 2022, the number of cruise ships being sold for scrapping has come to a halt. Not a single cruise ship has been sold to the breaking yards in 2023. 2022, a total of 18 cruise ships were dismantled, following the trend that started in the early days of the pandemic. That year set a record for the recycling yards. Okay, it looks like I was off the air on audio again. So that he said with the map of the cruise, there was none. Okay, so let's back up to that one. I don't know why it did that because I didn't touch the audio. All right, so I got to back up here because that was a good story. All right, thank you, Hot Air Tom, for notifying me on that one. Let's go back to this since I missed the whole cotton picking story. And I started off with this one that this would be a bucket list cruise for me. Holland America is offering a 53-day cruise to Japan in September of 2024, first for the company. The itinerary sails round trip from Seattle on the Westerdam. In addition to the Far East, it also includes port calls in Alaska and Hawaii. It goes to the Alaska Inside Passage and Stevens Passage. Also has visits to Juneau, Sitka, Kodiak, and Dutch Harbor. And then when it gets to Alaska, the first stop is let me see here. All right, the first stop in Hawaii, somehow, once in Hawaii, the Westerdam is set to make calls in Kushiro, Hakadaki, Yokohama, Kobe, Kachi, Hiroshima, Kanmon Strait, Fukuoka, Waka, Sakamiento, Toyama, Kanazawa, Nagasaki, Ishaka Island, and Naha. And then it goes to Hawaii and stops at Nauwiliwili, Kauai, and Honolulu with overnight stays in Tokyo, Kobe, and Honolulu. And I was just exemplifying my hopes of one day coming up with a sponsor so I can do one of those big cruises like that one, or circumnavigating South America, which is the top of my other bucket list cruise. So anyway, sorry about that blank on the audio there, and thank you, Hot Air Tom, for notifying me of that. Let's see. Disney Wonder is departing next week on a 23-night cruise from Vancouver to Sydney, stopping in Hawaii. Probably all adults, laugh out loud. Yeah. I have a cousin that works for American Airlines at Hilton Head Airport. She is a ground crew orange stick plane parker. Oh, one of those guys that gets out there and brings them in. Joanne says, highly recommend Jewel of the Seas. The Wi-Fi is bad though. And the Greenland cruises. Thank you, Joanne. We enjoyed your pictures a lot. Emily's with us. Joanne says, congratulations to Joanna. I call her Lady J. Kenneth says, good morning to everybody. And Robin did find the cruise on the Bliss M. Robin and I are still kicking the idea back and forth of cruising back on the Queen Mary 2 to New York City. And Dennis says, cook no more than medium rare. That's on that big steak. Geez, I don't remember how Justin has his steaks cooked. I'm the medium rare guy. I'm right with you on that. Something tells me Justin was medium, but I don't know that for sure, Kenneth. I'm just trying to avoid the long flight back. I would have to eat in the buffet for 8 days on the Queen Mary 2 because I don't like getting dressed up. Yeah. I understand that one, Kenneth. Um, yeah, I think they're still dressed up every night, aren't they? No, I wouldn't, I couldn't do that. I dress up for what I call dress up. I put a sport coat on, and that's as far as I dress up anymore. The day of me putting the tie on, it's over. So anyway, but I will put a sport coat on and a decent shirt. It won't be a t-shirt. It might be one of my goofy shirts, but I'll put a sport coat on and be reasonably presentable and wear long pants. I'll do that much. We just need to decide how we want to get to Miami and return. Might check in on the Amtrak fare. That'd be cool. Kenneth, also look for repositioning cruises for your Atlantic crossing. I also dislike dress codes. More to pack. I agree. Considering the Bliss return February 2nd. All right. That would be cool. That's when I'm on it. That person was that person was not alive before the rescue. I didn't know that. Okay, that's when I lost the audio. Steve's with us. Dennis is saying, am I muted? I did not catch that in the chat room. I didn't look over to the chat room then because I just wasn't expecting it to change. That did it on its own, folks. That wasn't one of my screw ups. So I'll have to go back and fix that and cut the big block out of the show. Katie says it's way too quiet. Dennis, where did you dream up that word? Yeah. Slide showing, but no audio. M just PM me. I didn't get that when I'm on the air. Mike thanks Emily for that. Just PM'd him again. Sorry. No worries. Tom, I'm used to the YT censorship. So unalived is used often on here. Tom, who's going on the Bliss so far? As far as I know, just Hot Air Tom and me. The Bliss Operation Lounge is fantastic. Your mouth is moving, but no audio. Chillie, no audio since the ship's scrapyard. Oh, yeah, okay. No audio since the dismantling. Hear you now. Thank you. Have you tried the go-karts on the Bliss yet, Tom? I don't know if Tom's been on Bliss yet. He's going to be on them next year. Since Princess the ship, there was no audio. Yep. Welcome back, Chillie. Thank you. Audio cut out at the scrapyard. Okay, I'll know where to go back and fix it. So it'll be fixed before the podcast is up. Is the radiation still in Nagasaki and Hiroshima? I thought automatic bomb radiation lasted a long time. I would say it's not, since they're going in there with cruise ships. Katie says, I went to Nagasaki. It was beautiful. Yes, every night on the QM2, otherwise you stay below deck. Oh, Emily said since the Princess ship. Okay. All right, well, sorry about that, folks. That's one time I didn't do it. I didn't touch anything in the way of audio. Sometimes when I switch back and forth, like from when Tom first called, I think, oh my goodness, did I not fix this after and then I realized I didn't do an interview today. Yeah, yesterday I did the interview and I didn't put myself back on after the interview. That one was my fault. This one wasn't, so just pointing that out, guys. All right, guys, that's going to wrap me up for today. I've got my deal coming up with Viva Voyages shortly to see if they can get us any more days on the Epic cruise for January, the hosted cruise. So, and then tomorrow I'll be doing the show with Pete at 12 on the solo cruise deal show tomorrow. So, thanks everybody for being here. Don't forget to smash that thumbs up button. I would appreciate that immensely. That's going to wrap me up for today, guys. As always, thanks for being here. I do appreciate each and every one of you. And stay safe. Stay healthy. Think about cruising, and hopefully one day soon we're going to all get together on the high seas. Have a great day, everybody. See you tomorrow.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. Hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.